Good morning. Thank you for joining me for another 5 good minutes with the Word. I'm Barry Bryson, and we're entering the text of Haggai today. We've taken 3 periods to introduce this unique book, and this is part of our larger study of the minor prophets. Haggai, of course, is the very first of the post-exilic prophets to write to the returnees after the exile. As we mentioned yesterday, and as he tells us in verse 1 of chapter 1, he's beginning to deliver his prophecy on August the 29th in the year 520 BC. And the theme of the book is the rebuilding of the temple and the lessons they need to learn as they rebuild the temple. I'm going to read chapter 1 today. In chapter 1, Joshua and Zerubbabel are told to tell the people to finish the temple, and then they are obedient to that. Then in chapter 2, verses 1 through 9, he talks to those who are disappointed in the latter glory of the temple as opposed to the earlier glory of it. Then in chapter 10, verse 19, verses 10 through 19, he's going to talk to them about the difference between holiness and how it can transfer or not transfer, and uncleanness and how it can. And so it's a warning about remaining true and faithful to God. And then in verses 20 through 23 of chapter 2, there's a looking forward to the Messianic kingdom. Let's read chapter 1 today. In the 2nd year of Darius the king, on the 1st day of the 6th month, the word of the Lord came by the prophet Haggai to Zerubbabel, the son of Shealtiel, governor of Judah, and to Joshua, the son of Jehozadak, the high priest, saying, Thus says Yahweh of hosts, this people says, the time isn't yet for the house of the Lord to be rebuilt. Then the word of the Lord came by Haggai the prophet, saying, Is it time for you yourselves to dwell in your paneled houses while this house lies desolate? Now therefore, thus says the Lord of hosts, consider your ways. You have sown much, but you harvest little. You eat, but there is not enough to be satisfied. You drink, but there is not enough to become drunk. You put on clothing, but no one is warm enough. He who earns wages to put it into a purse with holes in it. Thus says Yahweh of hosts, consider your ways. Go up to the mountains, bring wood, and rebuild this temple, that I may be pleased with it, and be glorified, says the Lord. You look for much, but behold, it comes to little. When you bring it home, I blow it away. Why? Declares the Lord of hosts, because my house, which lies desolate, while each of you runs to his own house. Therefore, because of you, the sky has withheld its dew, the earth has withheld its produce, and I called for a drought on the land, on the mountains, on the grain, on the new wine, on the oil, on the ground produces, on what the ground produces, on men, on cattle, on all the labor of your hands. Then Zerubbabel the son of Shealtiel, and Joshua the son of Jehozadak, the high priest, with all the remnant of the people, obeyed the voice of the Lord their God, and the words of Haggai the prophet, as the Lord their God had sent him. And the people showed reverence for the Lord. And Haggai the messenger of the Lord spoke by the commission of the Lord to the people, saying, I am with you, declares the Lord. So the Lord stirred up the spirit of Zerubbabel the son of Shealtiel, governor of Judah, and the spirit of Joshua the son of Jehozadak, the high priest, and the spirit of all the remnant of the people, and they came and worked on the house of the Lord of hosts their God on the 24th day of the 6th month in the 2nd year of Darius the king. So, it's 17 years later, they haven't finished the temple, and times are hard. And they're hard for a reason. There's cause and effect. They have neglected the temple, even though they have a priesthood, and they have the Levites, and they have all the contents, and they have all the musicians, just like in the days of Solomon. They haven't finished the house because they finished their own houses. They have paneled houses. That may describe houses that are well built or covered, or it may describe houses that are so well built that they've been able to accessorize. But the point is this: they have focused on their own houses, and yet for all their efforts, they're still finding it hard to make headway. Why? Because they're not worried about their observance of God's feast days and God's laws regarding their worship to Him. Now, if you think back to 2 Samuel chapter 7, when David initially wanted to build a temple, God said, "Who told you to do this? Do I have to have a place to live? Do I have to have a place to find shelter? I take care of you, buddy. You don't take care of me." That's what God said. See, the point isn't the building itself. It's what the building represents. When David wanted to build the temple, he was going beyond what God had said. When these people didn't finish building the temple, God said, "Consider your ways," because you're prioritizing yourself and your immediate comfort and not your relationship with me. And that's why I have refused you the comfort that you seek, because your relationship with me is more important. And so, when the word was delivered, they immediately became faithful. It took them about 3 weeks to hear this, to listen to it, to get the word out, and to come together in reverence and start building again. But they did. They did on the 24th day of the 6th month in the 2nd year of Darius the king. Next time, the Lord has something to say to those who are a little underwhelmed at what they end up with. We'll talk about that next time. Thank you for joining me for another 5 good minutes.